Go ahead.
You mentioned the contingency argument. Is that an example of using philosophy in dawah? And also, what is an example of maybe using al-Kalaam in dawah?
Regarding contingency, I don't know if that's really going to fall into kalam and stuff, because it's not based on what ilm al-kalam and stuff is based on. But again, and I have nothing really against it. I'm not shooting it down, but I'm just saying that for us to prove the existence of Allah from the Quran itself, and the fact that the Prophet ﷺ could not have written the Quran, and the fact that Prophet ﷺ could not have known what was revealed in the Quran about the past, about the future. Surah Yusuf is a miracle. Surah Yusuf, from that Bab al-Nuzul, the Yahud, they were asked by the Quraysh, how can we prove the Prophet ﷺ not to be a true prophet? They said, ask him, how did Musa ﷺ end up in Egypt? And the Prophet ﷺ didn't know until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Surah Yusuf to them, to Rasulullah ﷺ, and then he gave the answer. So that's a miracle. How could he didn't know, how would he have known? And the Yahud said there is no way he would know this. Right? Look up the ahadith about the Asbab al-Nuzul, right? So it's a miracle. When you look at the orbiting bodies, of the different heavenly bodies, the different planets and everything having an orbit. Ibn Kathir even discusses about this, right? And that is a miracle. There's no way a man in a desert in that time could have known those things. Right? I mean, when you talk about waves under the ocean, or if you talk about sweet water and salt water and all these things that we have in the Quran, that a man, illiterate, uneducated, not a philosopher, not a poet, there's no way you could have known it, right? To me, that's the dawah. Right? And it's simple. Like, you don't have to go get a PhD in metaphysics to know it, right? You, me, everybody knows these things, right? You tell somebody, look, if I tell you, what languages do you speak? French, English, and Arabic. Excellent. If I tell you, write a book in French, and write it in a way that no French linguist can match it, right? And imagine on top of that, you can't read or write French. Could you do it? No. So how did the Prophet ﷺ bring a Quran that none of the shu'ara, those poets that could read, write, that memorized poetry, the Prophet ﷺ never said a line of poetry. There's some hadith that rhyme, but he never said, the Arab poets, they had a format. They had types of poems, and they would have like praise of their tribe. When I studied Alfiya ibn Malik, we used to have to study Sharh ibn Aqil, the format of the Asr al-Jahaliyyah, in the time of ignorance, in their poetic format. So they would have like praise of tribe, and then, by the way, they were really mean. They would take shots at people's moms and stuff. They had mama jokes. In the poetry, they would make fun of their women, and they would make fun of their mothers, and this, and then they would praise their own tribe, and then they would, they had this format. The Prophet ﷺ never did any of that. But when the Quran was brought, those eloquent baligh shu'ara, those poets, couldn't respond. Right? So then that's the dawah. Right? Now, Amar, I'm just picking on you, alright? Amar, tonight, make this moon into two pieces and bring it together. Can you do it? Why not? You can't do it, right? Da'wah, tell them, go tonight, split the moon. Or in the daytime, split the sun. You can't do it. How did the Prophet ﷺ do it? How do we have these first-hand reports of those that saw it, even the enemies of the Prophet ﷺ that reported it? Right? These are miracles. These are ways, right? To me, that's the importance of dawah. Tayyib, the second part of the question about ilm al-kalam, right? And that is the use. I know everybody wants to get away from what it really is, right? And people are like, no, that's not what it is, and they want to jump around it, right? But in reality, what is it? And I'm giving a very basic, simple explanation. When the Muslims grew in influence, especially during the Abbasiyya, not the time of Sahaba, right? They started to translate a lot of the works of the Greek, the works of Plato and all these people, right? And it developed the Muslim Ummah in many ways, right? They got math and other sciences, the chemistry and algebra and stuff they developed, true. But the problem, and that was fine up to there, right? But the problem got to be, it started to influence some of the people in their understanding of Aqeedah. And Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad, all of these great ai and those that were alive in that time, they condemned it. Abu Yusuf, Muhammad al-Shaybani and others. Their aqwal are well known. Someday I'll make a video collecting them, and I think I went over them in the Aqidah Durus of Lumat I'tiqad anyway. So they condemned it. They said, no, the ilm al-kalam fahuwa jahl, jahl al-kalam fahuwa ilm. Yani they would say, the knowledge of kalam, this is ignorance. And being ignorant of kalam, that's knowledge. Right? This is the way of the Salaf, this is how they responded to it. Yes, people, no, that's not what they meant. No, they meant some of it. Like, where did you get all that from? It's a very clear statement, right? So, the way of the Sahaba and the way of the Salaf and the way of the A'imma al-Arba'a and those was they took the sifat of Allah as Allah revealed. That's it. Allah said it that way, so we believe it. That's it. Bila kayf, without asking how. Without getting into, methodological, whatever, hypotheticals, and without getting into, well, how could this be? What do you mean? If Allah said it, it is. Allah is qadir on everything. How could Allah be on His arsh and make nuzul? If Allah said it, He does. No restrictions on Allah. Whatever He said about Himself, we believe in it. Whatever is established from the Prophet ﷺ, we believe in it. We leave it as it is. Unless you have evidence from the Quran itself, or Sahih Hadith, or the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, or the Zahir of the Arabic language to explain something, we'll take it. Other than that, we don't use any external mantiq or logic or this to explain the sifat of Allah, or explain about Jannah and Jahannam and this and that, right? That's it. This is the way. When that concept started coming in, that's when they developed this idea of making ta'wilat of the sifat of Allah. So instead of saying Allah said He has a yad, khalas, we're done. They would say, no, it means nusra, it means rahmah, it means this, it means that. Where did you get that? That's what it means. And you made up your own meaning, and you could be right, you could be wrong. You can't guess at these things, right? Wajh means this, and this means that, and how could this mean? No, don't ask that question. Allah said it, we believe it. That's it. That's the way of our da'wah, and that is the da'wah of the Salaf, Salihin. That is the da'wah of the Quran and Sunnah. That is the da'wah based on Athariyah. That is the da'wah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what we stick to.